This video is sponsored by Silverstone. The innovative Ice Mist all-in-one cooler allows you to stack RGB fans on the water block, which can easily direct airflow to any hotspots on the motherboard, VRMs, or DRAM. Pick up the Ice Mist AIO today and equip your PC with this unique high-performance cooler.
Hey PC World fans, Adam here with arguably the most important person at CES 2024. We have Leo.
Do you mean Jensen's not here?
You know, yeah, he walked right by me, and so I was like, well, this guy, I can grab him. He'll do an interview.
Flatterer, you're right.
From Kit Guru, go over, Kit Guru, read the stuff, watch the videos, like, subscribe, hit the bell.
And there's more. So kitguru.net on the web, Kitguru Tech on YouTube, and we do TikToks. Search for Kit Guru.
Oh, you're on the TikTok?
Yes, we're on the TikTok.
Oh.
It's under duress and instruction, but you can now see me both wide and vertical.
Okay, I love it. Thank you for that. Well, we're here to talk about the backside.
Yes, we are.
Backside connectors. We are fans of the backside connector.
Yes.
But the first question, I guess, is thrown out to you. You know, there's three different standards that we're seeing here. We got MSI's Project Zero. We have ASUS's BTF, which they sometimes is back to the future, sometimes it's back to front. I'm not quite sure exactly which it is. And then the MGRC, main gear rear connection, is what I've heard. So.
And they are the same.
The same, but I mean, we're seeing different variations. But I want to see what people think in the chat.
Which name lands? Which of those three names lands? Obviously, Project Zero is the winner, without doubt.
Think so? I kind of like BTF because Back to the Future, it's a good movie.
But it's also confusing, and it sounds like it might be a sandwich. So
BTF. I'll order BTF.
Right, exactly.
But Project Zero is also long, though. I like acronyms.
Okay.
So
I see.
PZ.
Okay, so you're a snappy military type. However, what is Project Zero, BTF, and the main gear? And who are main gear? I know you Americans know. We Europeans don't know who main gear is.
You don't?
No.
Oh.
No, main gear is totally unknown outside America.
Oh,
so
that's
when
funny.
we heard Wallace of main gear, I was like, where is main gear and what is a Wallace? And
What is the Wallace?
To get the name correct, Wallace Santos, yes?
Wallace Santos,
So you've met Wallace Santos, I have not.
Yeah.
So my apologies, Wallace. I'm sure you'll see this. Who is Wallace Santos?
He's the founder of Main Gear PCs. You know, goes way back. Gordon knows him for a long time too. He tells me he had this idea to solder some of the pins on the backside of the motherboard, so 24-pin power, the CPU power pins, things like that. It was like, oh man, because that would make a cleaner case. A couple years ago, he teamed with Gigabyte to release Project Stealth. That was kind of the first iteration of that. And you know, it was such a cool idea. I know it got Gordon and you talking for sure, because you know you guys are big haters of ATX.
Yes.
You know,
you should die.
Exactly.
And die.
Yeah. And die again.
Yes.
A horrible death. But this isn't quite a change to ATX.
Whoa.
But it is an evolution.
Yes. So of course the point being is, if you've got a motherboard stood up in a regular case and you've got say 25mm cable clearance in the right hand side panel, and then you bang some holes through the motherboard tray and you put your connectors on the thing, and now you've got your cables sticking out, there's no space. Not necessarily, and motherboards may not support the format, because why would they? It's not, motherboard trays may not support given motherboards.
Yep.
So a company such as MSI that makes cases, and their cases have thankfully improved from the first go around, so they can easily make a main board and a power supply and a case that go together, and they can sell them to SI system integrators as a package. That's great. Same for Asus, same for Gigabyte.
Well, but Project Stealth was a package deal.
However, of course, companies such as Corsair need to be on board with this kind of thing, because if you sell a motherboard that won't fit in a Corsair case, problems.
Well, we were both at Cooler Master. They had a case that actually fit all three of the keep out zones. They were like, hey, you know what, we're just going to go a little bit wider on all of them and make sure we standardize around all of them, so it doesn't matter, you just bring your own. Corsair had the same thing too, of like, hey, you know, as of right now, it's, you know, we're just going to kind of, you know, have acceptance for everybody, really, but we all need to get together.
However,
right?
the thing is, in the past, we've got some weird form factors, but we've got ATX, ATX, various versions of eATX, but we'll ignore those. Micro ATX, and we've got Mini ITX, and then you
Gordon's favorite BTX.
Right, and then obviously the catastrophic Intel format, and then we had things like DTX came along, so it's ITX but a bit more space for a big graphics card. So suddenly your ITX case is it ITX or is it DTX? And then we did a thermal take review of the Tower 200, which was designed as a micro ATX case and then was redesignated as a mini ITX case because it could definitely do ITX, it can't necessarily do micro ATX,
Oh, that's
all
funny.
the boards out there.
Interesting.
I had no problem using micro ATX in it. That's the problem they're into, and we're talking millimeters or standoffs. So now you're starting banging holes through for power connectors. But there's more, because the forms I'd seen were main power and 2 EPS, so 3 connectors.
At least,
However,
yeah.
the boards I saw at MSI have on the back also all the USB, all the fan headers.
Front panel headers.
It's the whole periphery.
The whole thing. Yeah.
And also, you've got the other thing. Second question for the audience, gentle people. Any sane person building their own PC puts the motherboard on the box, plugs everything in, fires it up. Well,
That's how I do it. Yeah.
what do you do if all the connectors are on the back? Charlie Demergen walking past, semi-analysis. Shout out for semi-analysis. Yes. Like, subscribe, give him the clicks. So if you build your system on a flat box and then you've got to connect everything in the back, what's the new version of a flat box?
Have you built on one yet?
I have not.
Okay, so I have. They sent me the Project Zero. I did a build before.
You're
before
more special
the
than
break.
me.
No, listen.
You're
no,
Jensen
no.
Wang number 2.
No,
I'm just Junior Jensen.
No, definitely not. I'm more aggressive. I'm just a mean American. But so I built in it, and I had that same thought.
Yeah.
I was like, because I build outside of the box.
Yeah.
But the case manufacturers and all the people who are doing this are really focusing around like, oh, clean visuals, which is a cool thing. But in a lot of ways, I think it's ease of use is like the real thing that kind of makes it, especially for new builders, right? So, like, even though I built it outside of the box, and I was definitely like, ooh, should I be doing this? I don't know. I was actually, in the future, I could see myself building it, putting it inside
and plug it all
first,
together.
because
Okay.
then you bam, 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 you turn it around, bam, 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 you're done.
Okay. Now,
So-
taking this point and going back to the system integrators and Main Gear in particular, and shout out once again to Wallace. His patent, as I understand it, is essentially for alternate form factors or alternate connectors. It's something like that.
Okay.
If you want to change something and make it different, that's my idea. Seems to be about the scope of the patent.
Okay.
And to
I've
avoid,
not read it, yeah.
No, I haven't read it.
okay.
Obviously, what I'm talking here is just pure gibberish. But the essence of it means that to avoid you litigious Americans, it sounds that the motherboard manufacturers think it's much, much easier to work with Main Gear. And if everyone agrees and everyone is happy, then no litigation, and that's a good thing.
They should. I mean,
Yeah.
and Gordon, he points out like the ATX spec is actually pretty loosely defined
Yes,
too.
yes, exactly.
So yeah.
So therefore,
it's just everyone just get together and work
Right, so what you
together.
actually need here is agreement. And if it's agreement that counts, then in a sense the spec comes by the by. So as long as everything's working together. So sure, you ain't going to take your 10-year-old case and put your whatever. We know that. We're talking new stuff. New shiny stuff. And the fact is, and let's be blunt, the PC format continues to dwindle. This has long been the case. So we're talking enthusiasts.
I don't like to accept it.
It's a fact.
I'm going to
Just-
hear what
just
you're
go with it,
saying,
go
and
with
I'm
it.
not going to accept it.
If you just go with it, I won't mention
Okay.
PlayStations and Xboxes. So there's that, and hence the likes of system integrators such as Main Gear, they want to be able to build the damn things fast. Put
Yeah.
the thing in, bang, 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 close the
Right.
cover on all the mess.
And it was fast.
Oh,
and
yes.
and
Yeah.
it is way cleaner. You
Right.
don't have to worry about cable management.
So on the one hand, Wallace is making his life easier, reducing costs, and the cable clutter goes behind a big cover. On the other hand, he's gifting us a clean build. So win-win,
That's what I think.
provided the industry can play nicely.
And I think we're so close, right? It's not like one of I mean, I guess Asus has the proprietary slot for the GPU, but that's a whole separate thing. But like, we're really arguing about the exact zones, and they're not that far off from each other. I mean, like I said, there's a couple case manufacturers that have already been like, you know what? If we just go a little bit wider, we're clearing everybody.
Now, sadly,
so.
when I first heard BTF was when we saw Corsair yesterday, and they mentioned BTF, and I thought it was some sort of joke. I didn't understand what BTF was. I'd not heard the three-letter
Oh, you
acronym.
haven't?
Because communications with Asus are a bit frosty.
Oh.
For various
Why?
reasons.
What happened?
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding. We don't even.
Yes, right. And And as a result, I was actually unaware that the Asus version of this, so I just think of it as Project Zero. So it's baked in. So it's not that I'm an MSI fanboy or any such, I just happen to like the name.
Yeah,
and it works for me, but it's not an acronym, so I can understand that. Well, but BTF as a result for me, that's dead on the vine.
Well, I do think one of the good things that ASUS is doing where it's a little confusing with the MSI stuff is that MSI Project Zero is motherboard and the fact that it's like the case design kind of stuff, right? And like I said, there's no easy acronym. It's like, okay, well, I bought a Project Zero motherboard, but is this a Project Zero case? Because the case doesn't say Project Zero.
No.
You know what I mean? So I do like that BTF, they're saying that all of the model numbers of the versions of the cases and the motherboards will have a BTF indicator on it. You know, so if you look at the model number, you'll at least be like, oh, okay, well, I need to buy BTF.
Now,
then
technically, that might be the correct approach, but on principle, I'm not going for it, just because we are just then to me being petty and childish.
Okay.
So I'm prepared to go away separately and read up on this now, the BTF thing, which is sounding like it might be a good idea. However, I'm just instinctively down for Project Zero.
Okay.
So we've got compatibility is obviously the big thing.
Yeah.
System integrators, they'll sort, because system integrators, they use a stack of this thing and a stack of these things, and they bang them together all day long and they're happy. So they'll be fine. What other things do we think are a good? I mean, let's face it, helps airflow.
Yeah, no, well, and
Much
actually,
cleaner main compartment.
the argument I'm saying too is that like ATX has been so stagnant for so long. Gordon, loves to point that out, and it's like I think even though this is a small change, this is finally going to get the dust off.
Well, I think
and then it's going to lead to actually more changes.
I think it's significant. It's taken some years to just, quote, move the main power and the EPS to the back. I mean, in the same positions, just go backwards, not forwards. And that has taken them 3-4 years, or at least.
Yeah.
So, just because the other nasty in this regard, to my mind, is the ARGB header. Now, motherboards are littered with the things. You can't get it. Right, you can't get the original RGB header. You could reverse and fry things. That was stupid because it's 3 pins and it could just be reversed.
Yeah.
This you can't because it's 1 and a break and 2. Gigabyte attempted their 5-pin thing with white and that failed because it was theirs. So the ARGB header and connector are universal. However, you put it on, it falls off half the time because it's just this shonky piece of stuff because there's no standard for it. It's just a thing that's made where everybody didn't hate it enough, and it works and it's cheap. It's cheap.
Well, the other thought I had too is that some motherboards usually have some sort of PWM header right by like the VRMs or something above the GPU slot. I don't think the specs. I haven't seen any of the backside connector stuff have like all the headers are around the edges. Rather than anything in the middle.
Plug, you're good to go.
But I mean, as long as you have enough, right? Because sometimes it's like, oh well, you got some. I don't know. I like when I build at least to have options of like, okay, you know what? This is the shortest run I'm going to plug in here. But if all the headers are at the bottom,
if it's around the back, out of sight,
just throw in a hub
who gives it out?
True.
No. This is good.
Good point.
You could even use double-sided tape for some things, and no one would know.
And now you're crazy.
No. And the other thing, one of my some people I know, for example, the chaps at EKWB just adore their custom harnesses for their power supplies. Individual strands. Awful lot of work. Literally, it's an evening's fun for them. I hate that stuff personally. It looks beautiful.
It can be fun.
Right. However, the idea of parking just cables in the right-hand side, I'm so on board with that. I mean, it'll take away their sport, and I'm apologising for that. But losing that work.
I have not visited them. I don't know if they're angry about it.
Well, I didn't ask. I didn't dare actually.
Oh, you didn't dare. Okay.
But they are showing off some color-coordinated fan corners, the rubber corners, and cable sleeves.
Oh, nice.
Literally, which they can coordinate with their coolant. So cable sleeving matters to them big time. And here am I advocating for goodbye cable sleeving. It'll all be invisible, just crammed in the back.
Yeah. Well, but except for the GPU, right? The 12-volt high power, or whichever connection you're using. I think that's the last thing.
Okay.
Right?
So,
well, what do you think should be done with it? Because there's a couple different versions.
Yes. However, as De Bauer, Roman Hartung said just recently, words to the effect of it's a steaming dumpster fire.
Of 12-volt high power.
12-volt high power. Yes.
Okay.
Specifically, it's utter trash. And his particular issue, now it has to be said, Roman, many hats he wears, one of which is Thermal Grizzly. They sell a power adapter. It plugs into the 12-volt high power connector on the graphics card, and then on the reverse side you have a series of 8-pin PCI Express connectors.
Yeah.
So you plug in your 8 pins to that. And that, in terms of power, can handle 3 of those is 1100 or some such watts.
I'm not good at math.
But the 12-volt high power is up to 600 watts. And the cables that feed the 12-volt high power, he worked it out, is something like 605 watts. So your safety margin is 0 if you're going to 600 watts. Now, he did, in fairness, say you might go to 450, but 450 is, you do see that. So your margin, you've got 600 total, 450. That's not huge. I mean, that's not great. You don't get an elevator where you've got that kind of, the cables are...
Yeah.
Do you say, yes, sir, join us? It's like, no, stay out.
Wait, so you're saying we should throw that all away and...
Roman appeared to be advocating for the Thermal Grizzly adapter as the answer. Surprisingly, I think he has a warehouse of the things.
Yeah,
but his point being is, 1,000 watts of power feed, draw out 450, you're 100% margin in hand. And bearing in mind, how much of these we're only talking 4090s really.
Yeah.
I mean, 4080s, 4070 supers don't matter so much. They cost $1,200, $1,500. Possibly more with the high-end Asus models. So do you really want the risk of the thing going up in fire or melting? No, you don't.
Yeah, but also I do feel like it's still, within margin of error for the most
Okay,
part.
so you're happy with 450 watts from a 600 watt connector. Fair enough. But this is...
Hey, you know what? I live on the edge,
This is
okay?
fair enough.
That's what I like to do.
But this is first gen. This is the first go round.
Well, now they've got second gen, the 12-volt 2x6.
No. I meant in terms of the GPUs using this power.
Yeah.
So therefore, they're already bouncing, in my mind, off the power limit.
Yeah.
What comes next? Can you? I mean, would you be prepared to predict the future?
The future is going to be
Jensen.
more power and
Right.
it's going to be
Right.
That's how I'm going to predict the future.
So therefore, 12-volt high power, which has already hit problems, already being revised, already got ATX3 going to ATX 3.1.
Yep.
And that's just today.
PCIe 5.1.
God knows what's going to happen in the future, next year after.
Well, so do you think Asus's proprietary slot on the motherboard is an answer?
I am unable to advocate for Asus.
Okay.
It might be technically a good idea. It might be there's an argument in its favor. However, it's...
I don't even know if it's a technically good idea, but I mean, it is one of the
even
ideas,
if it is
right?
a technically good idea, on principle, I have to be a bit because, and also BTF, Now, they might be right, but I'm going to have to withhold judgment on that one.
Well, what's a better idea?
That's the problem. Unfortunately, the 12-volt high power to PCI Express adapter technically is logical. It's a bit shonky to look at. It works well, and the maths is right.
Yeah.
So I like the 12-volt high power, snick it in and it just works.
Okay.
But problematic. So I'm going to go, God help me, for the Thermal Grizzly adapter approach, unless somebody's got a better idea. And no, Roman has not sent me one. And comments below the video, please.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, last question before we get out of here. If this is just the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Moving the connections to the backside.
Oh, yes.
If this is the beginning of ATX kind of adapting and going forward into the future,
yes.
What changes do you want to see? If you had your druthers.
Sadly enough, fan headers. I like PWM fan headers. I have no problem with them. The issue I have is the power ratings, because we typically see and now this is a trivial point, but we typically see fan headers rated around about the 20 watts a piece. Some are designated pump, and they'll say 20 or 25 watts. Others are designated less. A fan typically draws 5, so you're over-speccing it by a factor of 3 or 4. However, we now have magnetic fans. They clip together. And Thermaltake in particular, I was using some of them recently, they power off a PWM. There's no hub to control them, so the power's all coming from one. So you're powering 3 fans off one. And with a particular motherboard, I had an issue. It run 2 but not 3. And the header was spec'd at 20-something watts. There's no reason why the manufacturer would have ever checked it was actually true. They may have made the number up, I don't know. So I'm happy to stick with the form factor. I just want some consistency. Think about it. If your case has 12 fans, times 5 watts, that's 60 watts.
Don't make me do that. I'm going to have to trust you.
Okay, but you're talking with custom loop, with a pump like a D5, with all the RGB and other such, you've got at least 100 watts of peripherals going inside the case, and it can be more than that. Significant power, it's not messing around. So I really want mega high-powered fan headers.
Dang, okay.
Mega high-power fan. What's that? Mega high-power MHPF.
There you go. You heard it. Yeah, you got to patent it. You got to write it down on a letter, send it to yourself.
My gift to Gordon.
There you go.
The MHPF.
MHPF.
And he is also designated the MHPF
ambassador?
Something like that.
Spokesperson. Yes. Actually, I wonder what he thinks about this.
He'll hate it. However, for now, we're saying Gordon Ung backs this message.
Okay, for now.
Yeah.
Until he sees
Until he hears it.
And then he's in the chat, he's like, what the hell did you just say?
Like and subscribe, Gordon, in the comments below.
Yeah, definitely. We should cut it off here before Gordon calls me up. Thank you, Leo.
You're absolutely welcome.
Always good chatting with you.
Thank
Go
you,
over to Kit Guru Tech on YouTube.
KitGuru.net on the web, Kit Guru Tech on YouTube, and also the TikTok.
Wait, what's that on TikTok?
I'll just search for Kit Guru.
Just Kit Guru. Oh, you don't even know?
I can't. I watch it. I can't drive it. It's totally beyond me. I'm a generation and a half too old.
Maybe Gordon will subscribe to you over there.
Gordon,
there's no way he's on TikTok.
Subscribe to me on the TikTok.
Maybe that's how he'll get into it. He's like, I do it just for Leo. Anyway, thank you. Thanks everybody for watching. Definitely get in the comments about your opinions on this. And we will catch you in the next video. Bye.